Hi, I am Leonie and I will present to you a paper that shows that prejudice even exists towards robots. Researchers strive to implement robots in everyday life, but this brings up the question which visual and functional features should be implemented. This is what the paper It Don't Matter If You're Black or White by Friederike Eisel and Steve Loughnane is about. First, it is important to know about the three-factor model of anthropomorphism. It says that the extent to which people anthropomorphize objects can be largely attributed to three key psychological factors, which are sociality motivation, affectance motivation, and elicited agent knowledge. In this study, elicited agent knowledge is central. Elicited agent knowledge means that people rely on their self-knowledge or their knowledge about humans in general when judging unfamiliar, non-human entities, such as robots. The authors argue that elicited agent knowledge is not limited to knowledge structures related to the superordinate human category, but also includes subordinate or other categories. Also, a person's ethnic background determines attitudes and behavior towards the individual. This often results in discrimination or the so-called in-group bias. In-group bias is the preference for everything that is associated with the in-group. The assumption was that prejudiced attitudes have an impact on social judgments, even towards robots, and even if people do not openly admit to it. To measure this, participants who were Caucasian Americans were randomly assigned to one of two experimental conditions. They were asked to evaluate one of two robot types that either belonged to the Caucasian American in-group or to the African American outgroup. This was manipulated by skin color only. The researchers measured two variables. The first was mind perception, which is one form of humanity attribution to robots. They measured mind perception with two dimensions, which were agency and experience. For example, participants had to answer the question, to what extent do you think that Jean is capable of experiencing physical or emotional pain? The second variable was self-reported prejudice, which is a subtle form of prejudice that rules out problems of socially desirable response tendencies. For example, persons high on this type of prejudice would agree to the statement, blacks are getting too demanding in their push for equal rights. Then two groups were formed, participants low and high in self-reported prejudice against African Americans. Interestingly, they found no significant main effect for robot type, which means that participants did not openly differentiate between the in-group and the out-group robot in their ratings. But they found significant interaction effects of robot type and level of prejudice. Participants low versus high in prejudice did not differ in agency attribution to the in-group robot. However, participants high in prejudice attributed significantly less agency to the out-group robot. The same pattern appeared for the attribution of experience. The results show that even if people do not admit prejudice openly, they are still there and affect the person's behavior even towards robots. This illustrates impressively that design choices might affect subjective evaluations of a product and behavior towards it.